Muscle wasting has become a huge topic in the last few years because of GLP-1 drugs. So stuff like Ozempic and Wegovy. Those drugs have had such rapid muscle loss and muscle wasting that we are seeing the negative impact that that causes on people's health. We can't ignore it any longer. The problem is that isn't new. Women have been diagnosed with sarcopenia since 1989. Now, before 1989, it was just called senile atrophy. The beautiful thing about labeling it to sarcopenia is that now they get to advise us on treatment. We're going to talk about that more later. But following the standard advice has left women and men weaker, out of shape, with poor posture, huffing and puffing because don't forget that our heart is a muscle, not understanding what to do next. Of course, when we go talk to our doctor, our nutritionist, or our trainer, we're told it's just normal aging. That's a bold-faced lie, Wellness Warrior. And I have 3 points of reference to back up my statement that that's a lie. Please subscribe. They want us to believe that men and women's bodies are radically different. They aren't. But we do have different hormones. I'm going to concede that one, which those hormones cause bodies to not only look different, but to build muscle differently. Men do have a lot more testosterone than we have. And therefore, their gym workouts cause them to look like the Hulk, right? They get big. While women have estrogen, which builds muscle and protects it from breaking down. We also have progesterone, which stimulates muscle protein synthesis. Progesterone is just as effective as testosterone in protein synthesis. And although we both have growth hormone, we produce 3 times as much as men do. The end result, when men and women work out similarly, the percentage increase based on weight is exactly the same. So muscle building amount that we gain, that percentage, the same. So if our bodies are perfectly capable of gaining and maintaining muscle, why are we losing muscle anyway? Like this, we're taking the drugs off the table for a minute. In our normal everyday lives over the last 20 years, why are we losing so much muscle? There's another hormone that both men and women have that's playing a huge role in muscle building. Insulin. I know. Insulin is implicated in so much in our bodies. And this was a new one for me, muscle building. We already know that insulin is the fat storage hormone, right? I mean, for us ladies, that's been in our ear for years now. Well, it helps us to make muscle too. Insulin drives protein, so the amino acids that we eat, into our muscle tissue, right? And it triggers the building process to turn amino acids into muscle. Did not know that. When I learned that, the first thing that came to me was that they have us so fooled. Every gym rat has been told that you need carbohydrates to have energy, right? To get those gains in the gym. Eating carbs before a gym workout means that we've just diverted our precious insulin from doing the beautiful anabolic. So that means the building work that it's supposed to do to help our bodies to be strong. We've diverted it over to fat storage mode, to put on fat, the exact opposite of what we go to the gym for. But what's even worse, over time, we become insulin resistant.
Type 2 diabetes is a manifestation of insulin resistance at the level of the liver. Polycystic ovarian syndrome is a manifestation of insulin resistance at the ovary. Cardiovascular disease is a manifestation of insulin resistance at the heart. Alzheimer's disease, we are learning, is a manifestation of insulin resistance in the brain. It's regiospecific, and it is because of that that we end up with these different manifestations.
When our body is insulin resistant, that means that insulin is not doing its job. And insulin resistance at the muscle building level would mean you're now on your way to sarcopenia. Wellness Warrior. Conservative numbers put insulin resistance across North America at about 45%. That's 1 in 2 of us losing muscle daily. But those numbers quickly jump to almost 75% when we remember that excess weight is a sign of insulin resistance. I can put my hand up. I had excess weight. I know a lot of people watching have excess weight. So do you understand what's going on here? We are all on a path to muscle wasting fragility if we don't figure this out. And for us ladies, this is about to get even more complicated. What happens to insulin when our hormones start to shift? Homeostasis, that word just means balance. That word is significant because homeostasis is critical to survival. This means that it should be the top of mind of anyone with any kind of health issue. And yet, most people have never even heard the word. So, every system in the body has a balance it's trying to keep, right? It's trying to maintain some stability. Your hormones are a system that needs to stay in balance. So when your body begins perimenopause and our sex hormones, like they start to go down, the entire system is trying to adjust. That means that cortisol, growth hormone, insulin, and every other hormone that we have recalibrates. Unless something prevents that recalibration. Our hormonal distress during perimenopause and menopause, that feels like a metabolic catastrophe, that's because we enter this change of life with excessively high insulin. Yeah, excessively high insulin is what blocks that recalibrate, right? And Wellness Warrior, this can happen even if you are on a keto diet. We are so fixated on eating right up to that 20 grams of carbs because that's where we got our results, right? Despite the fact that our body in this moment is making a major shift and the insulin needs to adjust. So our weight loss results that we got cannot be more important than our body needing to adjust. The recalibration cannot be successful if one of the most powerful hormones that are in our system is being shoved in the wrong direction every single day with every single meal. If you're on a standard American diet, it's even worse. Our struggle with menopause is actually caused by the metabolic disaster finally being revealed, right? And they try to convince us the only answer is to force our sex hormones higher. So let's think about that. Our body is saying these sex hormones shouldn't be this high. It's time for us to bring them down. And then we say, no, you're too stupid. You don't know better. I know better. Wellness Warrior. This is more money-making tactics that give us relief as long as we keep taking their product. That's the key, Wellness Warrior. When we realize their manipulations are about getting our money, we can take a look at what we need to do to actually solve the problem. Rather than just putting band-aids on the problem, we need to solve the problem. That was a lot of information based on research and detangling of ideas so that I could present it to you. If the information matters to you and you want to keep this channel sponsor-free, you can help me free up more time to bring more information by checking out my support links in the description. There's Patreon, YouTube membership, and a direct sponsor link, if you want to cut out the middleman. That's down there for you too. Now, let's get back to the answers. Our bodies were always capable. As children, we were strong. And we look at our kids today, they're running around like little maniacs. But I dare you, try to keep up with them and run around and play all day like they're doing now. I remember when I had to chase my daughter around like she was like 2 or 3 years old. I always wondered how the hell she still had energy when I was huffing and puffing and like I couldn't keep up. Her body was still working, Wellness Warrior. Her hormones well balanced and her muscles were being made appropriately. While for me, at 31, my body was screaming for a break. It wanted me to sit down. That makes sense because after 25 years fully focused on eating less so I could be as thin as possible, I hadn't set my body up for great muscle tone and endurance. I set myself up to be weak by believing their stupid lies that lean meat that's no larger than a fist is what I should have been eating. No. Okay. We're going to get to the food in a minute. I want to stay where we're supposed. We sit all day, whether we're at school or at work. Then our time in the gym is focused on aerobics and trying to be as light as possible. You'd be surprised how many women have told me that they stopped working out because their weight was going up. We have no idea that muscle weighs more than fat per square inch. We don't know that. They hadn't even taken the time to check their measurements to see like, had I actually improved? Nope. The scale moved. They stopped working out. It frustrates me, Wellness Warrior. It frustrates me because, okay. But today, I want you to see the flaw. I want you to see these lies. By lying to us that workouts would make our body unattractive, they keep us weak. But in reality, our teens, young adults, and older women who have maintained their active lifestyles have gorgeous bodies, right? They don't look like men. They look amazing. They look great. Right? And I know the world will tell us that they have better genetics. Like she just has better genetics than you do, Violet. I'm here today to tell you that it's the fact that she kept moving, right? But she's still in danger, just like you and I, because her insulin needs to be addressed. For decades, we've been told to eat things that have quietly destroyed our insulin signaling. Things like bread, pasta, cereal, granola bars, rice, potatoes, fruits, and the insult to our bodies, smoothies. We were told that these things were healthy. We were told that we need snacks to make sure that we eat less at meals to manage our weight. We were told that tracking calories was essential for good health. All lies. Every word.
It all depends on hormones because our whole body runs on hormones. You know, our body has no calorie receptors, right? There's no cell receptor that says, oh, here's a calorie. This is what I'm going to do. Our body runs on hormones. Those are instructions as to what to do, how much to pump blood, how much body heat to generate. Everything in our body is run on hormones, not calories.
Every single time we eat, no matter what we eat, our insulin rises. Every single time. But when we eat carbohydrates, our body is forced to manage the flood of glucose that comes in and causes an insulin spike that should not have been there in the first place had we not eating those stupid carbohydrates. Every one of those healthy foods that I listed cause an insulin spike because every one of them is carbohydrate-based food. And I hate calling that stuff food because it's not food. It's stupidity. So, carbohydrates spike insulin. Years of spiked insulin leads to insulin resistance. Insulin resistance means that our body struggles to make and maintain muscle. So for how many years has this been going on, right? Since we carry less muscle on our bodies than men do, partially due to biology, and of course because we've been scared away from working out, we are the ones who get the sarcopenia diagnosis. Yeah, sarcopenia means muscle wasting, by the way. Now, a lot of you will look at that list and wonder, what are we supposed to eat, right? We've been so brainwashed into believing that we could never live on meat alone. Wellness warrior. We feed our children pasta with tomato sauce, 0 meat. Cereal for breakfast, 0 meat. Tomato soup with crackers, 0 meat. Macaroni and cheese. Our children are growing and need more protein with accompanying fat to grow properly than we need right now to stay stable and we allow them to skip the meat. We don't see it because we've been taught the exact opposite of what is healthy. If we knew that most of our health issues would be solved by eating animal protein and fat, companies would not make their profits. Pharma, the exercise industry, and big food thrive on us believing that processed food is actually food. It isn't. And I'll take this a step further, Wellness Warrior, because I really want you to see how they lie to us. If you go right now and you look up how to make muscle, you will see that it says we need leucine. Look up where to find leucine, and the search is programmed to tell you that leucine is abundant in lean meat. Do you know where else it is? Like where there is some leucine in abundance? In the fat from your meat. Yeah, the fat that they trim off and throw away that tells us that we don't need, even though every keto and carnivore doctor says we need it. Leucine. The image I want you to think about is someone going to the gym and just looking at the weights. That's what they do. Every single day, they go to the gym and they look at the weights. Because honestly, that's the equivalent of eating a standard American diet with all that processed nonsense and then trying to work out. You are wasting your time. What you need to do is eat real food. Meat, fish, poultry, eggs, and salt is necessary for muscle building. But just as important is not overeating carbohydrates, because that sabotages your insulin. We need insulin working properly to push those amino acids into our muscle fibers to stimulate more growth, right? And then estrogen, progesterone, and growth hormone can do their job, and we get to be strong again. We aren't starting from zero. You'll be surprised how quickly our body responds. Within a few weeks of me removing the last few bits of garbage from my diet, so that was the coffee and the dairy back in December, I felt a huge shift happen. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, I wanted to work out. I have never wanted to work out, Wellness Warrior. And all of a sudden, right? I've had a gym in my basement for the last 8 years. And I swear to you, if I used it 10 times, that's me using it a lot. Yet, somehow, since January this year, after letting go of those last 2 vices that I had, I wake up every morning with the question in my mind, am I working out or not? And I have worked out every other day starting in January. I've never worked out 3 months in a row, kept my schedule, and been happy about it. Ever. It's never happened. Pat is already telling me that he sees the difference. And keep in mind, I made these muscle gains fully in menopause. So let's look at those menopause lies. When I hit perimenopause, I freaked out. I'm not going to lie. I was still keto, and despite the very small amounts of carbs that I was eating, it hit me hard. The hot flashes were atrocious. I hated them. Hated them. But then I spoke to women who were not keto and realized I didn't have, my hot flashes were not as near as bad as what they had, first of all. And I had hot flashes and leg cramps. And the leg cramps were occasional. But I didn't have weight gain. I didn't have joint pain. I didn't have brain fog or mood swings. The hot flashes did disturb my sleep. So there was that. And I had that scare, right? That maybe my sex drive was going to plummet that was a concern of mine. But in all fairness, being keto during that period of time turned out to be a blessing. Of course, there was that question of whether or not I do hormone replacement therapy. But my distrust for pharma, I saw people talking about reintroducing some carb to better manage, their symptoms. I didn't do that. But everything that I had learned about how our body works helped me to pause and look more closely at what was happening to myself, to my body, like what was happening inside. Menopause is not a disease. It's a transition. Our sex hormones decline, and that should not cause a crisis, right? Our body knows it's going to happen, was waiting for it to happen. That should not be a crisis. It should cause a recalibration, right? Before hormone replacement therapy and medications even existed, every woman on the planet went through menopause and her hormones set a new equilibrium and life went on. Our outrageous menopause symptoms are actually decades of hidden insulin resistance from garbage finally being seen clearly because estrogen can no longer hide it. Our soft muscles, and hot flashes, and rise in weight are the outcome of the standard American diet, right? We keep trying to put it on menopause. Standard American diet. Again, when they name something menopause, then they can start telling you how to treat it. A woman who walks into menopause with her insulin in good shape walks through the transition with minimal symptoms, right? My symptoms were nowhere near as horrible as some of the people I spoke to. And I've talked to some people who are carnivore and they apparently had barely any hot flashes. So our hormones adjust because they can. No garbage causing insulin spikes means our hormones can adjust. Our body recalibrates because nothing is dragging us out of balance every stupid meal, right? And we maintain our muscle, our energy, and our strength. Even if you struggle on the way in like I did, you can recover, right? The version of me making this video today is stronger than the version of me that was chasing my toddler at 31 years old. Young or old, male or female, understand what I'm telling you. Eating garbage is what is causing you to struggle with your muscle loss or not getting the gains that you want in the gym if you're a dude. And now that you know all three truths, so our bodies were always capable, the food was always the answer, and our aging was never the limiting factor, you get to decide where you want to take your health, Wellness Warrior. I'm begging you not to stay standard American diet, waiting for doctors to prescribe you something. Will you choose paleo, low carb, keto, or carnivore? What I like about those options is that they remove the processed stupidity from your diet when they're done correctly, right? There's just no stupidity left. They are all doors on the same road. So how far you walk down the road is your decision, but they're on that same road. That's the big unlock today, Wellness Warrior. Eating healthy food, meat, fish, poultry, eggs, and salt, fix our insulin resistance, which allows us to gain and maintain healthy muscle, which improves our longevity. Yeah, we get to live longer. That's amazing. Don't we all want that? And it's in front of us. When I was younger, we'd go dancing, and I remember being at the club and being on the dance floor all night. I only took breaks if the music changed to something I didn't like. And trust me, we chose clubs where that didn't happen much. I would dance the night away without a care in the world. And then I got a bit older and I'd still dance the night away, but I'd feel it the next morning. By my early 30s, dancing a few thongs before I needed to take a break turned into I was too tired to even thinking about going out dancing. I honestly thought that it was just a part of normal aging. How could I possibly expect to have the stamina of my younger self? Well, last year, my daughter wanted us to all to go out for New Year's Eve. And I was shocked that I was not the slightest bit tired when we were on our way back home at 4 a.m. after having danced the entire night. This year, my niece had a Sweet 16 party, and although it didn't go as late as the New Year's Eve night, I again was not at all tired, danced through the night. And on a regular basis, I do my workouts in the morning, and then I live my entire day, go to work, do all the things, and then I am up well past midnight. Not because I force my body, because I eat real food and my signals are in line again. My energy is back, my strength is back, and now I get to move through life easily again without negotiating with my body or grieving who I used to be. So, Wellness Warrior, it's your turn. What do you want back? What did your body used to do that you'd love to get back now? Is it hiking the trails? Keeping up with your kids or grandkids when they're playing? Maybe it's gardening without having to pay the price with your back the next day. Maybe it's something you've never done but always wanted to try and just never tried it before. Like, that's why I took up bouldering a few years ago. What is it? Name it. Write it in the comments below. And then take your first step towards it today by changing your food so that you can fix your insulin. If you've been wanting to try keto, I have a free course linked in the description that walks you through how to start keto and stick with it to stay on track long term. Click on the link and I'll see you in the course.